2 weeks I've had things I've wanted to say to you about Jesus absorbing our pain and paying the price of our redemption, paying the ransom. What I wanted to say to you about redemption and reconciliation, about Christ being our peacemaker, about the victory that Jesus had on the cross and how that carries over to our life, and that it feels like losing, but it's really winning. And about cup drinking. About cup drinking. As was the work of Christ on his cross, so is the work of the cross of Christ in us. Same thing. Same things. It's not about, I used to think the end of our Christian experience was just about the fruit we bear, as in love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, kindness, meekness, or the gifts we portray about evangelism and teaching and ministry and all of those things. No, not really about those things. It's about a fruit that hangs from our life. A fruit that hangs from our life, that drops from our life or is plucked from our life, where we absorb another's pain. We substitute ourselves in their stead and for their pain, and we live with them, and we carry some of that load with them, and we hurt with them, and they get better because of it, and we have pains to bear that we didn't before, and our hearts get a bit heavier because of it. That's the kind of fruit. That's the kind of fruit that should fall from our lives. We may need the gifts of the Spirit and the fruits of the Spirit to produce that, but all the fruit to be harvested is for the redemption and the salvation of the world. And part of that is pain absorbing. We substitute our life for theirs, and we bear for them, I guess, what remains of the suffering of Christ for that person. Redemption must fall from our lives, paying the price of somebody else's new life. Being with that person long enough, faithful enough, close enough, sacrificially enough, until Christ be formed in them and they have a new reason to live. Paying the price. Jesus paid it for us, and we're to go pay it for others, to do the work of redemption for them, the work of reconciliation. Jesus gave us peace between us and the Father, and he gave us peace between us and one another. The fruit that should drop from our life, I'm glad you're kind, and I'm glad you're got a spiritual gift, but reconciliation must be the fruit that drops from our life into the world, must be the thing people can come to us and pluck off. When someone plucks your fruit from you before you're ready to drop it, before it drops, it hurts. For someone to pluck a fruit of reconciliation on you, they come to you expecting that you will forgive and be merciful, and that you will open your heart to them in love and acceptance and reconciliation, that's what you're supposed to do. And when they pluck it, it's like, I'm not ready to do that for you yet, but oh my. That's what we're called to do. That's what we're called to be. Winning by losing. Oh, we'll say some things about that next week. Drinking the cup. Jesus, Father, take it away. If there's any other way, Father, this cup would pass from me. 3 times his Father said no. I'd never thanked the Father for that before, like I did a few moments ago, that he didn't take that cup of suffering away from Christ. And methinks that there's times I should Thank my Father for not taking the cup of suffering away from you. To not take the cup that has been set before you, that you can't get rid of, that you've asked him to take away, and it still remains. Somebody's counting on you to drink your cup. Somebody's counting on you to do what you are too weak to do, that you would rather God take from you more than anything in the world. We didn't understand what Jesus was doing. It looked like he was losing when he did those things on the cross. And you won't understand what you're doing. You're going to think you're losing. And others are going to look at you and think you're losing. Somebody's counting on you to drink your cup. Amen? And Paul says it works like this. Got a lot of scriptures from 2 Corinthians here. 2 Corinthians chapter 4. Just a few sentences. You'll get it in an instant. And you'll be able to pack that away with the rest of what's happened here this morning, and it'll be food for your soul. It will change your life. 2 Corinthians 4, 10 to 12. Paul's talking to the church about their suffering, about what he suffers as an apostle, and about the place they hold in the Corinthians' lives and in the disciples' lives of those who follow. And parenthetically here for you then, he says, and we always carry around in our bodies the reality of the brutal death and suffering of Jesus. As a result, his resurrection life rises and reveals its wonderful power in our bodies as well. Death before resurrection. They say they carry it around all the time. And if you read other places of Paul's writing, he talks about apostles being put on at the end of the parade as a spectacle almost to the world of their suffering in the cause of Christ. That's what that means. For while we live, we are constantly handed over to death on account of Jesus, so that his life may be revealed even in our mortal bodies of flesh. That's your cup. So that Christ may be revealed even in your mortal body of flesh, be it healthy or whole, be it broken or bent. Why should you drink your cup? Same reason Jesus drank. Verse 12 says, so, Corinthians, death is constantly at work in us, but life is working in you. From the exact same situation, what Paul suffered is carrying the death of Jesus around and dying daily for the cause of Christ and suffering and all of those things, what that was to his body, working death in him, death to his flesh, death to that part that would fight against, all those things, working death in him. That same exact experience was working life in those other people, though, because they saw that. They could see Christ revealed in him as Paul drank his cup and he put up with that thorn in the flesh after he prayed 3 times. So you can pray 3 times. As Paul laid his life down for the cause of their redemption and salvation, and as he, I believe, just not taught, but worked out reconciliation in his life in the same way that God reconciles us one to another, that he did with people, that in the living of his life, winning by losing, winning by dying, being the servant of all so that you can win and be the greatest in the kingdom. Humbling himself in the deepest of humiliations, because that's the person that God's blessing rests upon, and that's the one he lifts up. Hard things, dying things. Any part of what Christ did on the cross is sufficient to kill our flesh, and that's what it's meant to do, so that the life of Christ will live through us, So death works in me, but life will work in you. Death will work in you in your particular situations, but as you drink your cup, as you're faithful to lay your life down for others. Wow. The way you live your life, the way you receive the stuff given to you, good or bad, that comes all the way back around to laying your life down for your brother, doesn't it? Why did Jesus drink his for us? Jesus drank his cup for us, for the joy set before him. May God so bless your life, so work in you, that in your cup, in your substitution, your cross-bearing for another, in your peacemaking, in your price paying for others, entrance into the kingdom, for your cup drinking, may God so work in you that there's joy in your life because of this. It will kill you, perhaps, to finish it to the dregs. It could destroy your flesh. Oh, may God set joy before you, though, for the sake of Christ, for the sake of the body, for sure, for the sake of those that need to see what it is to live like Jesus, for those that need to see what Jesus was all about through us taking the hits for them, through us showing them how to be reconciled to one another, how to fix their marriages, how to save a friendship, for us paying the price, getting up in the middle of the night, giving more money than we can afford, praying when we don't really want to, answer, oh my. Price paying happens a million different ways.